Right. Right. Okay. So, Bart, stay on the line as we're going to talk about the stats summary, please. So, this is a bit of a wild one, isn't it? There's so much to unpack on the stats summary in this one.
Yeah, I think it's there's a few mythbusters I think we're going to have to discuss, like the narrative Sky seem to be putting out that Burnley were unlucky to lose the game.
It's just mental.
Which is a little bit crazy, even for those of us who can give some credit to Parker for the way he set up. I still, when you start digging deep into the stats, you think you weren't unlucky. So yeah, I mean, possession-wise, Hamzah's already said it, mentioned it. It's 72 versus 28. Touches 908 to 361. Penalty box touches 59 to 3. Field tilt, I mean, I'm rounding it up now, 90 to 10. Total shots 27 to 3, which includes 14 in the box for us and 1 for them. And then they had 2. I think they're all off target, which means you don't get a PPDO ranking because there's nothing for Addy to actually do or to be measured in terms of doing. Big chances, 3 versus 0. So for those thinking it was a low quality game, we still created 3 big chances. One is the penalty, of course, but there are 2 others in there. And actually, there's a few around the 0.89 XG mark. So yeah, there's a few that you could are on the borderline, should we say? And XG, always important to take out of the penalty, is 1.85, and theirs is 0.14. So in terms of threat conversion, ignoring the penalty, we're still not at the heights we need to be. We're about 44, but we kept them below 25%. So which is a very effective defensive performance. The bit that I said to you guys in the chat, they only completed 80 passes. 80 passes in a game that lasted over 100 minutes.
Yeah.
It's quite something when you think about that. As much as you can give credit to a setup, to only complete a pass between teammates 80 times, less than 1 a minit, blows my mind.
It's like
that's just incredible.
Another way of looking at this as well is that in Optaland, a touch is every single event that they record of any type of definition, right? Now, I think when I did this about 15 years ago, I looked at this to understand Opta data. I think it was about 70% of all Opta events were passes.
Yeah.
Right. But Burnley had 361 touches in this match and only 100 passes attempted. Or was it 110?
100.
80 completed, wasn't it?
Yeah, 80 completed, 168 attempted. Yeah.
So it wasn't even half of their overall Opta touches. That shows you overall that were half and they weren't shots. They were all defensive actions, and they were all recoveries, the blocks, head clearances.
It's just astonishing, really, when you start looking at it. Possession control for us is not great. Minus 106.
Minus 106.
It's not particularly impressive, to be honest with you. And you kind of, when you break it down half as well, sometimes this is why we always say you should watch it back again, or at least watch the extended highlights again. You get a different view. Because I think when I first watched it, I thought we were better in the second half, but a lot of the stats are very similar. Possession is still 72. That's pretty much the same. Field tilt's pretty much the same. Penalty touches increases second half. That's an important point to reference. We have 7 more shots in the second half versus the first half. Threat conversion is still around. Actually, it's lower if you take the penalty out in the second half than it is the first half. Defensively, we notch it up. So in the first half, Burnley are about 40% threat to XG conversion. Second half, we reduced them completely to less than 4%, which is very good, but they didn't do a lot. Then you look at possession control, and it's very similar on both halves. So in terms of that huge turnaround, that again, a bit of a narrative that builds in the media, it's not quite there, should we say? Yes, we had territory, and yes, we did a lot more with it, but it's not hugely reflected in the stats. MCs, again, this is where I look at it in terms of luck, right? 95% of the time in 10,000 simulations, we win that game of football, right?
Yeah, that feels right.
That feels about right to me. And then in terms of goals, the most probable was 2-0 to Liverpool.
26%.
Which go 26%. And then the next lowest is 3-0. So a Burnley win is 0.38% at 1-0.
Crazy.
Right. So again, the narrative that Burnley were unlucky is nowhere near the reality. Really,
doesn't hold any water at all.
No, there's not any water. So yeah, it's. I think there's some interesting stories in there about what we do. I tried to show a bit on some new graphs about what you do with your possession. Do you turn it into field tilt? And this game's not a great definition of that, because basically this is our possession line and the one above is our field tilt. So basically we converted all our possession into really high field tilt, whereas Burnley didn't get anywhere near our goals, which is what this demonstrates. But on the flip side of it, but no, it's for me, this is an extremely dominant performance. I think there is a key event that we spoke about in Newcastle in this game that gets missed. And I think that would have had a huge impact on this game going forward, as would Ibu missing a goal in the first 10 minutes from a yard out. So there are two big moments very early on in the game that had a huge impact on the rest of it. But ultimately, I don't see the result as being lucky. It's just happened in the last minute, so it's always built up a bit. There's a bit of a pantomime.
Now, I do have a homework request for you, because one thing you do not show, believe it, there's one thing you don't show in your stats pack, and that's block shots.
Yeah, I've actually got it's in the data behind the scenes. I just don't put it in the table, so yeah, I will put it in there.
It's in the backlog, waiting to be added.
It's in the back. It's in the back. The back office.
Yeah, okay. Because the final, even Sky were picking up on this during the match, Hamzah, talking about the amount of block shots. I was more fascinated by the number of corners we'd had. We had 11 corners in the first hour. I can't ever remember a team having 11 corners in 60 minutes. That was just insane. But Sky were picking up on the block shots. And I think the final tally was 12.
Yeah, I think 5 in the first half, and then 7 in the second. Yeah,
lots more in the second half. And as I posed to you in the chat, it's a pretty easy game to predict the last time Liverpool had more shots blocked in a match than the Burnley game. Do you know when it was, Hamzah?
It was another game in which Liverpool scored late. It was Brentford away when Darwin Núñez scored late. Yeah. Liverpool got 2 goals, but another game where Liverpool were trying to break down a really sort of obdurate, resilient low block, although they had a lot more quality on the counter and usually are more used to playing like that against big teams and
a bit more threat as well.
Yeah. But that's another thing that Brentford do really well. They're able to close down shots, limit the opportunity, and get their bodies in the way. But yeah, so that was the last time it happened, and it's a late goal then as well, which I think is interesting just because it's a sign of technically the goal that Liverpool got didn't really come because of all these attacking risks that Slot made. He did make a few, right? So he moved, he took Kennett off, he brought Frimpong on, just played instead of playing with Gravenberch at centre back, which he's done before. He just played without an additional centre back, so it was still quite attacking. And then you compare that to the Brentford match, and again Liverpool were throwing players forward, really, really attacking, trying to. And in that match, I think that's a really good example of how Slot likes to overload opponents and really throw caution to the wind when you've got a team that you would before the match think we would not be happy taking a point here because we have a talent advantage, and we really shouldn't be dropping points against a team where we've got such a big talent advantage. So this game wasn't exactly the best example of that because the penalty came from a really silly sort of handball. But at the same time, it's within the same sort of theme of Liverpool still trying to push and eventually getting some reward by continuing to push and not letting the game drift in those final few minutes.
So let's talk about the first half, Hamzah. And I think it was fair to say it was from a Liverpool fan perspective, it was a very tedious, very frustrating half where very little happened. And it was quite ponderous build-up. It was quite slow. And yeah, I mean, Burnley played the game that they wanted to play.
Yeah, and I think the highlight of this half was Konate's set piece. So in the 12th minute, I think Gakpo crossed from the right. Van Dijk went up to attack the ball, but it was just over his head, so he had a clear run on it, but it was a bit too high for him. And Kennett was inside the 6-yard box, just heads over. Obviously gave that 0.49 xg. I thought that's probably, given the location, that's pretty fair. I do think that the xg that they assigned to the Kirkes chance, though, the one that he kicked was way too high. They gave that 0.17. And the reason I think it's too high is because of the position of the player in front of him, who's blocking his the path of the ball towards goal. So I think that probably should be a lower value. And then you're looking at, instead of 1.01 xg in the first half, you look at less than 1. But yeah, the majority of Liverpool's chances in this period came from set pieces, 0.66. Like you said, they had the 7 corners. They weren't too productive. A lot of in-swingers from the right. Verts initially took a few, then Gakpo took over. Beyond that, though, Liverpool really struggled, and I don't think they managed to get Salah involved at all. I think we'll come on to that later, because that's a bit of a theme, not just today, but for this season, and it's a concern going forward. It's something that we picked out last season when we asked how are Liverpool going to access Salah, first of all, without Trent, who was the best supplier of good passes to him. So not just getting the ball to him in the first place, but getting the ball to him in good areas where he could run past someone, he could get a shot off, get him in one-on-one positions, all that sort of stuff. We saw a bit of a change in the second half when Bradley came on, and he was occupying a more central, higher position, but still in the right half space. But Salah was still out wide, and he didn't really have too many exchanges. There were a few passes from Verts to him, but if you look at those passes literally, they're not that sort of... well, I just mentioned the Trent passes. They're often forcing him in towards goal, giving him an opportunity to take a touch and then shoot, or shoot straight away. These passes weren't quite those. There was one that was diagonal and into the box, but a lot of them were just shuttled out to the side. So that's not really what you want from your best creative player passing to your best finisher. But we'll see how that works. And then there's the wider question of how we use possessions, how Liverpool use possessions, because usually you'd want Salah to... Well, people think that in football you can have as many shots as you want, that it tends to infinity. Obviously, there's a limit in terms of 90 minutes in a match, but you can have loads and loads and loads of shots. And technically, you can understand where that comes from, right? You can score loads of goals. We've seen matches with 10 goals before, 15, even beyond that. But in practical terms, you can't actually have that many shots in a game, because every shot... Well, first of all, you have a finite number of possessions. You can't turn every possession into a shot, because that would, first of all, be rubbish to watch. And second of all, actually, more importantly, wouldn't be an effective way of playing football if you're shooting with every possession. So you're using those possessions to actually get up the field and have shots. And the idea is that you usually want your good players to have those shots. You don't just want anyone taking them, right? But when someone takes a shot, that usually, unless there's a rebound, leads to an end of possession. So when you get someone like Isak in, who takes shots, or Ekitike, who takes shots, or Verts, who takes shots and also tries risky forward passes, these players that are going to end some of Liverpool's possessions. And it works two ways. Like, they may end the possession by actually scoring the goal or getting a really good assist and supplying Salah, or it might just end the possession. And if it does end the possession and they get a shot and it's blocked or it goes out, that means that's one fewer possession that Salah could have had. So this is something that we just need to be mindful of and keep an eye on through the season. How does Isak, when he plays, or Verts, or Ekitike, how do their actions on the ball impact Salah's ability to get shots off and get goals? Because from what we've seen over the past 8 seasons or so, you want Salah to have shots. You want him to get touches in the box, shots off in those areas. And at the moment, he's only taking 6.8% of Liverpool shots. That's way below what it was last season. Last season it was 19%. Season before, 14%. Season before that, 20%. His range is usually around 14, 15 to 20%. Yeah. Sometimes he's gone a bit over that. And for context as well, so Salah had 19% of shots last season, but he had 34% of goals. The season before, he had 30.7% of shots and 22.5% of goals. The one before that, 20% of shots and 27% of goals. Ideally, if you're going to have a lot of shots, you should, at the very least, be having the same share of goals for your team. And ideally, if you're taking a lot of shots, you want to have more goals than you are, a high share of goals than you are. Yeah.
Can I ask you a Mo Salah question, Hamzah?
Sure.
Do you think he is the player who has been most negatively impacted by Trent leaving?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's pretty straightforward. The value of Trent was mostly in an offensive sense, right?
Yes.
The expected threat that he added, the presence, especially when he was overlapping. So this was a few seasons ago when he was overlapping. That meant that Salah could play a bit further inside. And in matches like Newcastle last season, he was getting forward and he was linking and he was playing first time or quick passes into Salah, often in the exact space where he wanted it. So not just a pass to Salah in the box, but a pass to Salah on his left foot in a way that he could control and shoot very quickly.
But the other thing you said about Trent so eloquently last season was he was the cheat code, because he could, wherever he was on the pitch, he could put the ball into any space he wanted to on the pitch. And as soon as he does it once, the opposition is always in their mind and always mindful of Trent can just literally put this over our heads and into all the. And as soon as you've stretched the pitch like that more and made opponents worry, that creates more space for players like Mo Salah by definition.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the exact same principle of having a player that can take a long shot every now and then. So ideally, you don't want, especially in a game like this, to just get the ball on the edge of the box and then just blast it, because ideally you want to create high quality opportunities, right? But it is still important to have a player that can shoot and does it from time to time, because that causes the opposition to react differently. They'll see the ball go to Szoboszlai on the edge of the area and they'll go, oh, we've got to close him down. And in doing so, that means they run out towards him and they leave a bit of space, or they panic. And if they leave a bit of space, that means then someone else can move into that area. You can exchange. You can maybe move the ball wide and then move it back into the area, into that pocket that has just been opened up, all that sort of thing. So yeah, that's the exact same principle as when someone like Trent in a deep area plays a pass. That means suddenly that the opposite nothing stop that pass happening in the first place. And it's really hard, right? Because he's getting the ball deep in his own defensive third and you're thinking, we've got to stop him getting the ball there. That's a challenge. We're going to have to push ourselves and take risks to actually close him down, which again opens up space elsewhere. There's another stat that I think we mentioned before. I think he had more on-ball value than the rest of the back three combined last season. Liverpool are gaining on-ball value in passing terms and dribble terms with Wirtz further upfield, but he operates in a slightly different. Well, he operates in a very different space. And unlike Liverpool with Trent, where it was simply a goal kick into Van Dijk and then pass out to Trent, or Trent pass, or Alisson pass directly to Trent in the first phase of possession. Liverpool have to move the ball upfield in the first place into Wirtz to then get to.
I mean, it's fair to say we won the league last year by having many different ways to attack. However, the primary way of the primary threat of the team was Mo Salah as an outlet ball who didn't have to do any defending. Trent would find him more than anybody else, along with VVD's diagonals and switches. And then Mo would either cut in and score or create a high quality chance for one of his fellow forwards. And that was the number one strategy in the team. And if that didn't work, we'd do VVD into Gravenberch, or maybe we'd build down the left or something like that. But the number one, the go-to, was Salah as the outlet and Trent finding him. And I think the way I would summarise this start of the season is we just need to be patient, because we've lost a generational player. He gets so much abuse for leaving, and rightly so, but we've lost a generational player, and we're currently trying to transition between a Trent-dominated team to a Wirtz-dominated team at some point in the future. And that's not going to happen overnight, I'm afraid. It is going to be sticky. And the only way we can build those relationships is by playing lots of games with each other. And so, I think this first half of the season is going to be a tough watch, like it is at the moment. But the most important thing is if you're not playing great, can you get the results? And the answer to that is yes at the moment. So yeah, we just got to hang tight, haven't we, Hamzah? You on mute, Hamzah?
Sorry, I was looking at my the touch map for Salah, and I think whilst that is true, I think it's also, when watching the match, there were moments where Salah was free and a pass could have been forced or rushed.
There was a really good one in the first half where Wirtz could have played him in, but Wirtz took the shot from the D, didn't he? And he could have it was a really simple ball to play into Salah, who would have been one-on-one, wouldn't he?
And just given the the enormous share of possession that Liverpool had, it feels very strange that they didn't involve or struggle to involve Salah as much as they would have liked. I mean, a lot of his touches out wide, and that's quite normal for him to be in that space and then look to exchange and then break inside. But for a lot of these touches, you just saw him in a really wide position. I think I can literally count the amount of touches he had in the box. One was a penalty, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beyond that, just inside the penalty area.
Yeah.
So that's not really where you want him. If you do want him to be able
Although
to dribble as well.
If you look at Khalique, he didn't get in the box either, so, and he's the centre forward. So he just only did defend their box really well in this game.
It is difficult, yeah. When they've got 5-4-1, there's very little space to attack. But when we've seen Salah be really effective as well, we've actually seen him drop deep into the right half space on the edge of the attacking third, and then spring forward. So he'll move out, so there's no one marking him.
Yeah, if the pass to Sadio Mane, Cody Gakpo, Luis Diaz that he played from right to left, just beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he moves into the blind side and then he breaks. But in this match we didn't see much of that. We actually used Bradley more in the second half in the half space, and I think he had one chance that was okay. But you think about that chance and the Robertson chance on the other side, and you think maybe of the players to have those shots in the half spaces, your two fullbacks probably aren't them. I mean, Frimpong had one as well that was saved in extra time. Additional time, sorry. So maybe there's a few things to be worked out there as well.
Bart, coming to you on a couple of things on this. Before I ask you about your stats, any highlights that you want to bring up throughout the match? The McAllister Ugochukwu challenge. I thought that was really close to a red card. I mean, I think some refs, if maybe other than VARs, other than Paul Tierney, might have overturned that, made the ref go and look at it on the monitor. What do you think?
I was surprised he wasn't asked to go and look at it. I thought it was on first watch, I could see why the referee's gone, that's a yellow. But when you watch it again from the multiple angles, I don't see how that's not a red card. He's gone completely over the top of the ankle. He's rolled it. He's gone in with excessive force.
And it was his planted foot as well, wasn't it?
It was his planted foot. Yeah. It's just
that's the dangerous bit. Yeah.
We know Mac's pretty strong as it is, but he still carried on until half time, didn't he? Then he took him off. But
is that what it was? Is that where the injury came from? Do we think?
I think so. I think that was. I saw it reported. I can't remember who it was from, but that was one of the changes made. So, to answer the original question, I'm surprised he wasn't referred. I'm surprised then it didn't turn to a red card. But then I saw who was on VAR, and I kind of retracted my surprise a little bit to just accept that that's what happened. So, but I just wanted to, the point I wanted to stuff when I brought this up was like, as much as I agree with everything you boys have said about Mo, I completely agree. There is a guy on the other wing who's equally not in good form. And that is not helping the guy in the middle trying to link, right? If both your entities either side are struggling for different reasons, the guy in the middle who is largely in the areas we want him to be in. This is me not saying he's playing well, by the way. I'm just saying he's largely occupying the areas you would expect a guy who's supposed to be linking it together playing. The problem we have is the guy on the left, Cody, these are his attacking touches for up to a bit of time. It's not particularly great. It doesn't fill you with this is what's going to happen. You look at it first half and Cody's here on his own little island over above here.
Yeah.
Second half, he doesn't get any bigger. He moves, he even moves position, and his touch area still doesn't get much. So I just think you would hope if you're coming into a new side, you want to link with a whole attacking unit. And I think your point there about it's going to take time because it's not just one piece. We've literally changed Cody's position, we've changed Mo's position, and we've got a new number 9 in.
Yeah, because Cody's got a new player behind him, and he's got a new player to the right of him as well. So, two new players to the right of him. So he's surrounded by new players. So,
yeah. So, and the thing I found interesting with Cody was Kirkes made 3 runs in the first 20 minutes, and he ignored him.
Yeah.
As soon as Robertson comes on, he plays the ball to him.
Now, I can guess why you want to ignore Kirkes sometimes on the overlap, but what did he do on all 3 of those occasions, Bart?
Cut inside and try to shot.
which was blocked.
Which was blocked. So yeah, I think there's many things. I agree. We need to get the ball to Mo. I'm not saying we don't do that, but I think there's multiple things wrong with our attacking four at the moment. That need to be sorted out and will come through playing together. I mean, the only plus side for those who are eagle-eyed, I've tweaked our pass maps to be slightly different now. So the larger the circle is, the more passes the player had. I obviously did this without thinking we were going to go to Burnley and completely dominate the ball that much. So I apologise, but so here it just shows you quite how dominant we were, because almost all the players have got huge circles around them. But what I'm trying to show with this is that over in the first three games, there wasn't really a pattern. Like, there wasn't triangles being formed. Okay, this is a game we had so much of the ball, but we did start to create some more Liverpool-like shapes that second half. It's better if you look at it in just looking.
Can we just have a quick look at the Burnley pass map?
If you really want, yeah. This is Burnley's first half, which obviously is interesting, and second half is even less interesting.
Look at the blue circles is where the dual wins.
Yeah, all the dual wins in the areas, and obviously the guy with the most passes is the poor goalkeeper who's had to pick it up and try and find someone. But so but I'm saying the ones you want to look at shows you our dominance, should we say, is the attacking half. So first half, we have both centre halves up. We have our 6 in here. We have our nominal 8 on the left versus in and around, and a TK's dropping. So it's not a bad shape to be had. To be fair, it's just a bit deep. Second half, we're a bit further forward. Mo's got more touches this time round. By this time, Bradley's on, which I didn't know he changed number, by the way. He'd gone to 12. And then you've got slightly better connections in and around. But I think that for me, there are small little glimmers of things are happening. It's not linking together as the way we want, but Bert is in the areas I would expect him to be in. And he is starting to receive there's 2 back-to-back second halves now where he's been more involved in those plays. He's had shots in the box in both of the last 2 second halves. And he's threaded some passes together. For me, it's just about playing them together and getting them going, really, I think is probably where we are. I won't show you some of the, some of the way we've got the balls into the half spaces and zone 14 increase in the second half, purely by volume. In terms of passing chain, will be ridiculous anyway, because some of these are just stupidly long. So we won't go into that too much detail. But no, I think I just think, I think you're right, Dan. It will take time. I think this is a genuine. If it was just an exercise in running through patterns because we had that much possession, I think it hasn't done us any harm. All right, it'd be interesting to see what happens when he actually gets the 9 he projected to play with from the beginning.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how the team plays with Isaac. Although we'll have to start that journey again to some extent, won't we? The integration journey again.
For sure.
But yeah, I think it is what it is at this point. I mean, if Sai was on, the point he wanted us to make on his behalf was he doesn't see how we are systemically trying to create threats as a team yet. He just can't see the established patterns yet. And so maybe in game week 4, we'd like to see a bit more by now. But let's see. I mean, this was a bit of a freakish setup. Although, to be honest, Everton aren't going to play too much differently to Burnley. They'll just have a lot more quality going forward than Burnley did.
Yeah, I think Everton have got more. Both wingers are creating at the moment, aren't they? So they have outballs into areas of weakness, perceived weakness for the Liverpool team, right?
Jack Grealish is at 0.53 expected assists per 90, which is just historic numbers at the moment, just unbelievable number. He's got the most dribbles into the penalty area in the Premier League with 15, and that's always been a strength. That was always his secret source when he was at Villa, his dribbles into the penalty area. And bizarrely, Kieran Dewsbury Hall has got the second most passes into the penalty area of any player in the Premier League this season, and he's pretty much shining as Everton's 10 as well. So yeah, I mean, Everton will defend exactly like Burnley, but they will attack with a lot more quality.
Yeah, 100%.